There we go. We are live. Hey, everybody. Gomez Show. Hey.
In the name of the Father, in the name of the Son, the Holy Spirit. Amen. I come to you, kneel on one knee, my face towards the sky. To you I will confess. Can you hear me?
Hey, what's up, everybody out there? Welcome to the Tony Gomez Show. Hope you're having a great Saturday afternoon. And today I have the pleasure of interviewing the one and only Monte Montana, radio DJ and program director for here in the Coastal Bend since 1995. Monte, how's it going today?
Good, Tony. How you doing, man?
Man, I'm off to a pretty good start. Had a nice little breakfast and got my my gear together for our show, and looking forward to a entertaining show tonight over at the House of Rock with the interview that I did last week with a guy named Miggy Sanchez from a band called Relent. So,
oh yeah,
this should be a really cool day, man. But this is my highlight right here. I've been looking forward to hooking up with you and asking you a few questions about your history and just kind of letting my listeners get to know you a little bit better. How does that sound?
that sounds great, man. I really appreciate the opportunity, and I think it's fantastic what you're doing with your show, man. It's a very cool looking production, and you've had some great guests on, so I'm honored to be a part of that list of people, man. So thanks for having me.
Man, thank you so much, Monte. I appreciate it. I put a lot of work into getting all this done, and behind the scenes, I got my man Daniel Adame from Daniel Adame Productions, engineering, supporting it, and doing everything that I need to make this show rock and roll. So, Monte, first time I heard you must have been back at KRAD back in the 90s, and then you started rocking the airwaves on C101, and through these years, on C101 in the Coastal Bend. We heard your voice while we were growing up, while we were working, while we were partying, and while we're just kind of getting around here in Corpus Christi. And now we love to hear your show and hear the different stories that you share whenever you're on the Eagle 104.5. And it's super cool to, I was just hearing you yesterday afternoon, and your voice is just, it rocks, man. You got such a great voice for the radio. And could I ask you, who or what inspired you to want to get into, getting on the mic for, into the rock business world?
Man, well, thank you for the kind words. I appreciate that. When I was growing up, I was one of those kids that I had one of those cassette recorders, and I would write plays, basically like audio dramas for me and my little neighborhood buddies. And everybody would have a role, and we would get, we'd get like a tin lid or like a tin can. And, if it was a scene where in the audio it's supposed to be raining, you'd be tapping on the tin can to make it sound like it's raining. Come on, guys, let's go. You get the tapping sound and everything. And all right, see you later. Like, so that kind of stuff always really interested me. Mostly like, creating stories with sound effects. I always really liked that. There was a guy in high school. I grew up in Maryland, and there was a guy on DC 101, which was the radio station that launched Howard Stern to New York City. So right before Howard Stern went on DC 101, there was a guy that called himself the Grease Man. And he was a goofy character. Like he would create stories, and he had characters, and he had his own lingo. And me and my high school friends, and a lot of it was like, crude and, sexual and stuff like that. Me and my high school friends loved to use the lingo that he would come up with. And I always just thought that it was super cool, that kind of story creation. So I was going to Del Mar, and I was trying all kinds of stuff. I didn't know what I wanted to do yet. And I took a couple of classes, radio production and speaking for radio and television. And even after taking those classes, it still didn't click that, like, that's really a job that people can do, and I can be one of those people. But I was having a conversation with my brother, and I wasn't really happy with where I was employed at the time.
Yeah.
He's like, well, why don't you get into radio? I'm like, yeah, why don't I? You know? And so in Del Mar, we made a demo tape for a project. And so I was like, well, I already have, they call it an air check. So I already have an air check, a demo of what I would sound like if I were to be on the air. And so I started taking it to the radio stations around town, and I didn't hear anything for like 8 months.
Wow.
And I check back in every now and then. And one of the stations, it was like a Friday afternoon, and I walked in. I was like, I'll just walk in and just check and see. And they just so happened to be firing the part-time guy for that weekend. When I walked in to ask if they had any openings, and they're like, yes, we do. Come on back. I'm like, okay, cool. And so that's kind of how I got my start.
Wow, man, I like that story. Hey, and you got to be hungry, man. You got to go and be in person sometimes to make these things happen. You know, it seems kind of coincidental, but it also, some can see it as fate. You know, the right place at the right time, and wow, that's what got you in the door. And was that over at KRAD?
No, so it was a classic rock station. At the time, it was the Wave, KWVS 97.5.
I remember.
And,
okay.
Yeah, it was an eclectic station though. Like they were a little all over the place, but it was basically classic rock based.
Yeah.
And about 3 weeks after I started, they flipped it to country.
All right.
And I was like, well, it's not really my thing, but I want to do radio. Like, and I just got my foot in the door, so you know, let me stay and I'll learn the format. And so I started doing country, and there was a country station called KOUL, 103.7.
Okay.
And it was in the same building as KRAD, same company, same building. Great. And I really wanted to work in rock or, KRAD or C101. And so when a job opened up at KOUL, I was like, well, I'm already in the country format. And so maybe I can slide over to KOUL. And once I'm in the building, I can get to know the KRAD guys and move over there.
Sure.
And it took 2.5 years to make the transition. But I went from working at KOUL and going to KRAD about 90, that's probably 98.
Okay.
1998, yeah.
You know what I like about first came out, it was kind of like a little outlaw station where they were playing stuff that you would have never hear on C101, like bands like Slayer and just tracks from Metallica that weren't singles. And that was always cool for us as listeners to have that other station locally that was daring and taking those kind of chances. So I really like KRAD. That was very, very cool about that.
And when that station first came on and what they were doing, it changed what C101 did. They had to react to that, definitely.
Yeah.
And it was kind of cool. It was a little fun to be, a thorn in their side at that time. It was kind of like, a little bit like sticking it to the man, and just like they had at the time. They were kind of taking themselves a little too seriously back then, maybe. And KRAD came along and started clowning on everything, And it definitely changed that station, and I think in a good way.
Right.
At first it was a reaction, and then it was a change that came pretty natural.
I get it. I definitely, and there's, you got to stir it up sometimes, when there's a monopoly right there when it comes to rock radio, which C101 definitely had, you got to bring a competitor in there to stir things up. And the same thing happened when 92.7, it came up, to stir up the pot. And there was a lot of, talk between the stations, but they were the ones that were kind of instigating and all that. And that's just the way it goes. It's business. it's business, but they kept it fun. And, you know, it wasn't anything seriously ugly, but there was definitely a very strong sense of competition on who was the best rock
Yeah.
radio station. And, you know, that's
Yeah.
cool. That's, as listeners, we want to hear that stuff, because, hey, we want the best rock, no matter where you're going to bring it on whatever station, and whoever brings it the most at the best times is going to get us tuning in. So it matters. It matters. And, you know,
And, you know, competition makes you better.
absolutely.
At
Absolutely.
least it should.
Same thing works, you know, in music, and as a local band around here, you know, there's always a sense of needing to go up there and kick ass whenever you're playing with your local friends at our shows and stuff like that. And it just gives you that extra side on, hey man, we got to bring it. This is our crowd, but there's a lot of local bands here. We need to represent for ourselves, and, you know, and kick ass. And it's the same way when it comes to, you know, rock radio. You got to come out there and represent and give people a reason to get excited, stir the pot up, and create some noise, you know, make some moves, make some cool moves. And
Well, that's
about that, what made you make the move from like KRAD to C101? How'd you get into C101?
well, KRAD was on until 2000. They took it off the air, and everybody came in like it was a normal day. One after the other, they started calling people into the general manager's office and firing people.
Yeah.
And so I'm on the air. I was midday, and so I'm doing my air shift, and I'm hearing the Tiptonizer get called back. I'm hearing Crazy Corey get called back. You know, I'm hearing all these, you know, my coworkers going to the general manager's office, and then, you know, word gets out really quick what's going on.
Yeah.
So I'm still on the air doing my air shift. Like, should I keep doing this? What are we doing here? You know? And that was a little. I just kept going with it, and once I got off there at 3, took me into the general manager's office, told me that he had let everybody go. Mm-hmm. And that they were going to flip the format. I can't even remember what they changed it to at that point now. But they were going to let me stay and work at 96.5 at the beach, because that was another station. There were 3 stations in the building, and the beach 96.5 was the other station. And so I'm like, you know, as long as I get to stay employed for now, that's awesome, you know? And so I worked there for about 6 months before the night guy at C101, a guy named Dallas, was going to leave. And once I heard that, I gave him my resume and my tape, and I knew one of the guys pretty well who worked in the building already, Big Frank, who's at K99. Yeah, he had been working. We worked at that country station together for a while, and so he put in a good word for me over there. And with my tape and resume, I sat down with Paula Kay, and we hit it off real well, and I got a job offer.
Wow. So, I dig it. And what year was that? 2001, 2000?
2001, yeah.
Wow, man. And so how long you been here at the Eagle?
So 2020, I got laid off from C101 in 2020. And in January or February.
Were you program?
Yeah, I was the program director.
Yeah, I thought so. Okay.
I had been doing that for probably 8 years as the program director.
Killer.
And then in October 2020, I started with the Eagle, and it's pretty cool, man. It's a smaller company. It's they have like 3 stations in Corpus and I think 2 stations in like Lubbock.
Wow.
And that's it.
Yeah. I enjoy with the Eagle, man. You guys play some great music. You know, I'm hitting 52 this. Well, I'm hitting 53 this year, and I still surf around all the stations. But you know, when I chill in the backyard, my station's always 104.5. I just leave it on there, and I don't need to change it because that's the kind of jam I want to hear when I'm barbecuing, when I have company over, and I know all the songs. I know them all by heart. Whether it's the Eagles, whether it's Black Sabbath, whether it's, you know, the Metallica. You know, and it's funny now because I never would have thought back when I was listening to the Black Album, you know, back in early 1990, that I would ever hear that on classic rock. And here it is, you know, Nothing Else Matters, Enter Sandman coming on regularly on you know, throughout the day. And, you know, it's funny how the years go by and we don't even realize how quick life passes through our fingers. And, you know, I know you got a family. I think you got a couple of boys that are, I think, maybe in their teens, and a daughter and a teen. Is that right?
Yeah.
They grew up so fast.
The boys are 12 and they're into rock, which,
cool.
you know, shouldn't be much of a surprise, I guess. But
No.
they're twins. One plays guitar, one plays drums. They create their own music together. One of them's writing lyrics, and they have fun with it. Right now, it's just kind of for fun. Although one kind of feels like he might want to do a bit more with it. Great. And I haven't discouraged any of it yet. I say yet because I've worked closely with the music industry and I've seen some of the bad side of it.
Yes, I get it.
So that's something that not just anybody can navigate.
Right. That's right.
You can be a great musician, but that may not be a good field for you to be in. You know what I mean? Like,
I do, man. From a dad's perspective, and for me living that life as well. You know, being a musician for over 30 years, I know, and I've got a lot of friends that haven't made those great choices throughout the years, and you know, and it's taken them down a southbound path, and I'm glad that I've been able to keep my head above water and make some good choices and surround myself with good people. Yeah. But no, it's tough to navigate through that, and having, you know, kids that are getting hungry for that rock feeling that you get when you're playing in a band. It is contagious, but I definitely understand your concern about, you know, being careful with where you keep going with it, and keeping a good head on your shoulder, and keeping it right along the way. Music has saved my life, and I know that I speak for many people out there. It's saved their life, and it's a life-changing kind of thing to be able to compose your own music and share it to the public, and have them enjoy it and feel that kind of that rewarding gratitude experience. And it's a very special thing that really artists are only able to enjoy. And I know you can, you know, I feel that it's just a great thing that the kids are getting into music. They're going to have some fun with it, and that's also exciting. How about your daughter? What is she into?
So she's going to Del Mar, and she's gonna be 20 this year.
Okay.
So yeah, she's you know, working part-time, going to school part-time. I'm not sure if it's part-time or full-time, but I know she's between work and school and social life. She's definitely keeping busy, but she's going into nursing. So really happy for her on that. Yeah,
they're very demanding right there, but we never can get enough nurses. I'm telling you, we always need good people to take care of us. That's awesome.
Even when she was little, she was into. We would get her like anatomy books. Like there's like little kid versions of anatomy books, like 6-year-olds for 6-year-olds and stuff. And we would get her those, and she always loved them. So it was something that, you know, very early on she showed an interest in. So I'm really glad to see her pursuing it, you know, as a true passion. Sometimes people will go into a field thinking, well, people tell me I should go do this because there's jobs and you make money and whatnot. But if you're not really into it, it's just not going to be very fulfilling. So I think she's going to enjoy it and do good.
That's right. Yeah, I know your point right there. You know, you can't always make it all about money. You know, there's got to be some sort of passion that you go for it to really be able to perform to your greatest. And I've always liked that saying, you get a job that you enjoy, it never feels like you're working. And My personal day job, I'm in food service and I work over at the university, and I personally love my job. I love, being around the people I work with, and man, food service, it can chew you up and spit you out. And I've done pretty well about navigating my way through it, and finding a nice medium where I can work Monday through Friday at the university and still be able to do like my podcast, my rehearsals and stuff at night. So I'm very
Yeah,
blessed to make some decent choices, and have a fantastic wife of over 30 years to support me through all this.
that's
So
very cool, man.
telling you,
Yeah,
it's a hell of a ride, and I'm not easy to live with, but she is a saint to me.
that's awesome, man. Congratulations, 30 years. That's definitely a good run, and it takes two strong people to keep a relationship going like that for so long. So good for you guys, man.
Thanks a lot. And as far as kids, I've got a 28-year-old daughter, and she's doing great, and my son's about to turn 22, and um, I got a grandson. He's just like 3.5 years old, and he keeps me running around. Life is a good spot right now. Life is at a good place right now. And you know what? It sounds like you're in a good spot too. You got a good home there at the Eagle. You got the kids, into their, keeping busy. Your daughter's, making moves on her own. Um,
Yeah.
let me ask you this. Coming back to rock, what was your first concert?
My first concert was in 1990. I went to a club show to see
Yeah.
Social Distortion with
Oh,
Screaming Trees opening for them.
oh,
And Screaming Trees, I hadn't seen anything like those guys. They were kind of, they had like really long hair,
the Out of Grunge.
flannel. Yeah, they were. Yeah, I mean, they looked that part in 1990 for sure. Long hair, flannel. They were kind of heavy set guys,
Yeah.
which you didn't see very much, you know. And
Uh-huh.
I was just like, I don't even know what I'm looking at right now, but it's kind of neat, kind of cool. And
Yeah.
then Social Distortion, I'd only heard like maybe two of their songs um, before I saw them, and then once I saw them, I'm like, yeah, this is it. This is I'm all in on this. And
Yeah.
to this day, still my all-time favorite band.
Oh, killer. Okay.
Yeah.
Uh, that maybe the Ball and Chain tour possibly back then.
Yep. 1990 Ball and Change Tour. That's right. Very
Awesome.
cool. What
I
about
love.
you? What was your first one?
Yes, yes. I remember seeing. I grew up in the punk scene around here in the '80s, and one of the videos that would transfer around was a video called "Another State of Mind," and that was based off of Mike Ness getting the band up and on its feet, going out on tour, and when they
Yeah.
had the release "Tommy's Little Monster," and it was just it's inspiring as a young musician myself, seeing somebody out there grinding, and seeing how tough it is being on the road, playing punk rock, and not getting any love and not making any money, but just grinding it out and doing it out of pure love for the music, and wanting to express yourself. And Mike Ness is one of the greats, definitely. That's a hell of a
I
first
have
concert.
that. Thanks, man. I have that on DVD, as a matter of fact, and I'm gonna watch it with my sons probably here in the next few weeks.
Nice. That's gonna be some great rock history right there. You can share with them. Awesome.
Yeah, for
Is
real.
any musical instruments that you play?
No, I got an acoustic guitar when Guitar Hero was really big, and I saw
Yeah,
how
yeah.
much time people were putting into it. I thought that's cool and it's fun. I'm like, well, what if you tried it with a real guitar instead? And so I thought maybe I'll try a real guitar, and I didn't get very far with it. So I hung on to it, and I've given it to my son who plays guitar now. So it's definitely getting the love it never got from me. He's putting into it big time. So
But it took
yeah,
you to say that's great.
there's a
Uh,
little bit of musicianship in my family.
yeah.
This is going to sound kind of funny, but if you got to go way back to the 1700s,
Oh,
but
okay.
there's a connection. Yeah, there's a connection to the Cash family in my family tree. So yeah, you
Really?
go way back, and somehow Johnny Cash and his family are very distant relatives to my family. It's a
Is
connection from our ancestors in Scotland.
wow.
Pretty well.
Very, very cool. Rock history right there. Well, country history. And Cash, I gotta say a rocker too. You know, he's music through and through. And you know, thinking about Cash, it reminds me of a saying that Trent Reznor just put out not too long ago. It came across where he was saying that, you know, that song isn't even mine anymore. And so I had to research it. And he was talking about his hit called "Hurt" from a Downward Spiral. And, you know, I dug into. I've always heard he heard Johnny Cash's version so long ago, but I never realized how his version only had like 80 million hits on Spotify. And then I went to Johnny Cash's site, and he had 526 million listens on. What? So absolutely, you know, that's more Johnny song now, and the way he sings it, there's so much clarity. Oh man, it's like you could feel the ups and downs and the being on the road that Johnny Cash has gone through in the grittiness of his voice. And the jam, "Hurt" is something else. Jeez.
Yeah, that's a good one.
Well,
He
let
did
me
that.
ask your favorite band. Let me know 4 of your other favorite bands besides Social Distortion. Who else are you digging? Not just now, but I mean, like in general, you collect maybe their vinyls or who else do you really dig?
So when grunge hit, I was all in on that. I really liked Pearl Jam, and I still do. I don't listen to it nearly as much, but they were something I listened to a whole lot for quite a while.
Incredible band.
I still go back to Led Zeppelin regularly. Absolutely love Led Zeppelin. My older brother got me into them. I got a brother who's 6 years older, and so when I was growing up, you know, my folks they had like Creedence.
Okay.
And my dad was into a surf rock band called The Ventures.
Heard of them?
Yes, they were mostly instrumental, but he absolutely loved The Ventures. So I would listen to surf rock like The Ventures, and I would listen to Creedence Clearwater Revival, and then my brother would have Led Zeppelin and the Stones and the Doors and Black Sabbath, Iron Maiden, you know, Judas Priest, that kind of stuff. So he introduced me to a lot of that rock stuff. Yeah. But my boys, you know, it's funny. So he and I as well got my boys into Led Zeppelin. I think more so him than me, which is cool because now they have more Led Zeppelin vinyl than I do. My boys do. I'm like, how did that even happen?
That's super cool.
But I guess that's 3.
Give me one more.
Man, I don't know.
Okay. You know, I did. Those are life-changing bands right there. Love it. And that's cool about your brother kind of turning you on to that. You know, it seemed to work for me. You know, I had an aunt that was in high school that took me to my first Kiss concert in 1979. And when we got on the C101 party bus, and it was me, my aunt, and my other aunt Mary, and we went to go see Kiss on the Dynasty tour, and that was my first experience of the party life. People were drinking and smoking and getting it on the way up there on C101 party bus. The show was incredible. I saw Gene Simmons spit out blood and blow fire, and I was already doing anything and everything I could to get all the I was a hardcore Kiss fanatic, and that's why they took me. It was from a birthday gift, and shoot, the rest is history. I wanted to be Gene Simmons, and for a good period of my stage life, I was wearing makeup for a good 10 years because I was just infatuated with just putting like my war face on, and you know, I love it, man.
Yeah.
So being around, it's always somebody a few years older that kind of introduces us, right?
Yeah, dude, the amount of people that Kiss influenced is it's profound. It really is.
Yes.
There's a local band called the Chain Links, and There's two of the band members are father and son, the bass player Joe Martinez and his son Landon. Landon plays drums. And
Okay.
I know at one point Landon had told me that one of his favorite bands was Kiss. And this is a 20-year-old kid, 20-year-old young man that,
Yeah.
found his influence in Kiss because his father had introduced him to it, And
Yeah.
I just think that it's really cool that they get to share being in a band together. You want to
Yeah.
try to bring your kids into the things that you're passionate about so that you can share those experiences, and to be able to do that with music, man, envy is not a good thing to have, but I would have to say I might be a little bit envious of that.
I feel
So,
you 110%. I would love to be able to do something with my son and, having him play keys and stuff, or my daughter do some backup vocals. Oh, maybe
yeah,
never, but I am
that's
in
right.
this as well. That is something
Yeah,
that very, and so not everybody can do it. And when you can do it with your own band, I tell you, I got to see the Chain Links. I've heard so many good things about them. I think I know a couple of them already, but definitely got to stop and check out the Chain Links. So
yeah.
thinking about, you're working in the radio broadcasting, for so long. It reminds me of a show called WKRP in Cincinnati. You remember that one?
A little bit, yeah,
Okay, that
yeah,
was like a late '70s, early '80s show, and
yeah.
it was crazy on that, and I was wondering, throughout the years that you spent a lot of time there at C101, was work life kind of like crazy sometimes?
Well, yeah, in the earlier days, I think it was there was a little bit of that would go on. I mean, we
Was
were
it
all,
the Clear Channel?
well, when I started there, it was Clear Channel,
Or
and then eventually it became iHeart Radio. But when I
okay,
started at C101, there was 12 people working at that station.
okay,
Now there's not 12 people working for the entire organization in Corpus Christi,
wow,
like based in
whoa,
Corpus, like people committed specifically to one station. So it went from 12 to 12 for one station to maybe I don't know how many's there now, but uh, it's it's a whole lot less.
wow,
But it's
yeah,
it's due to technology. I mean, just you don't need that. It was so fun to in the early days orchestrate the show because it was live, and I never played records. I never got to play records. By the time that I got into radio in '95, they had pretty much switched over to CDs.
right,
So, but you still had to have it, queued up and ready to go. So you'd have your stack of music for the hour, and once one's done, you would have to take it out. You had two CD players going. So you had the two CD players. It looked like an 8-track player. They would call it a cart, and you would have your commercials on carts. And
okay,
so you would have to physically pull your commercials. So you'd have a stack of music, a stack of commercials, and you were physically putting them in and taking them out and queuing them up and making sure that they were ready to go.
yeah,
And then for the phone calls, up until after I was working at C101, we did those on a reel to reel. So you would record the phone call coming in, and then if you wanted to edit it, you would have to cut the tape. So you had a razor blade and a grease pencil and tape there with the reel to reel.
all
So
right,
you've got a 3-minute, 4-minute song. So you got your CD playing, and while that's going, you got your headphones on and you're working the reel to reel to try and get right to the part where you want to edit it, so you can take the razor blade and cut the tape where you marked it with the grease pencil, and then cut it where you put the other mark, bring them together, tape it, get it wound up and ready to go, and have it right where you want it for when you hit the play button, because you're going to talk on the air. So you're counted down for your song to stop.
Yeah.
You got to know what you're saying. You got to know where you're leading into the phone call that you have on the reel to reel. And you just got to have everything set up and ready to go. So it was constant.
Yeah.
And it was real art, man. It really was. It was an orchestration. And when you did it and it all came together and it worked exactly like you wanted it to, afterwards, just like, yeah, you know?
Yeah. It was great, right? What a win.
Yeah. And now with technology, it's a whole lot easier. I mean, the digital editing is very fast, very smooth, very easy, and it sounds really good. So you can do it quickly and you can do it well, but the art of it, the timing of it, I think has kind of been diminished by that a little bit, I guess.
I get it, man. You know, and because it's so simplified like that, and technology is as advanced as it is in radio broadcasting, it does end up taking the spot of some positions, if not many. And that's the downsizing part of it. But you know, also, throughout the history of you being a part of radio broadcasting, you're doing a lot of on location remotes and things like that, where you're actually getting a chance to meet some of these listeners in person. Has there been some like crazy moments where listeners finally get to meet you in person?
Most everybody was really cool, man. It was always nice to meet people that were excited to finally put a face with the voice. And because it's funny, some people would, up until, well, maybe even to this day, like, man, I always wondered what you looked like. I'm like, really? Because my face has been on the internet for about 20 years now, but like, they got other things to look up when they're online besides my face. But everybody was usually really, really cool. The live broadcasts were a lot of fun, though. That's where the crazy stuff happened. The in studio stuff was pretty typical.
Okay,
that was kind of people would.
Right.
I mean, well, when I was at KRAD, they would have topless entertainers come in.
Hello.
Sometimes. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. How did I forget about that? Yeah. So there was that. There was a place called Sunset's Fantasy.
Okay. Would they come answer questions or be a guest or?
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. And usually topless. So, so that was interesting.
Okay.
But on location stuff, like there was this one time I did a live broadcast at Fun Trackers. And we had, so at this time, most of what you hear on the radio, except for the on location stuff, really isn't live much anymore. We had a live guy in the studio and I had a live mic. And so I was like, you know what? I'm going to ride the go-kart while I'm on the air doing my break, so they can hear the engine, they can hear the wind, they can hear the other go-karts, and like really, get that immersive experience, like, try and give them as much of the sound of the experience as possible. And so I'm talking about, hey, we're out here at Fun Trackers. This is a great time out here. You got to come check out the track. They got lots of cars and everything. And I took a turn because I was paying attention to what I was saying and not really the driving. I didn't let off the gas at all. And I took a turn and I ended up spinning around, going in the opposite direction of the people coming my way. And I head on collisioned with another go-kart right there, live on the mic. And I dropped the mic on the go-kart. And, I was just like, it didn't feel good. I mean, those things, even if you're going 15 miles an hour, a head-on collision is a slam. Not feeling good. So I picked up the mic and I started talking again, to wrap it up. afterwards, I called the guy at the station. I was like, did you hear that? How did it sound? He's like, oh my God, are you okay? Like, that sounded like a massive wreck. And I'm like, awesome. I'm glad it sounded like a massive wreck, you know?
Yeah, right.
And,
Let's go.
and then I said, please tell me you were recording that. He goes, no, I wasn't recording it.
Oh,
That'd been so cool to have. I wanted to hear it.
that kind of
But
reminds me of how we got started earlier, and how when you were with your friends as a kid getting all these sounds together for your voice recordings right there. And you know, you never, because you know the realism of having those sound effects in the background is going to draw people out. That's so cool.
And it was always fun to do that kind of stuff. And because of that, I got drawn into the production side of it a lot too, creating the radio commercials and whatnot.
Yeah.
Because that was an opportunity to use sound effects and all that stuff. So
yeah,
fun stuff.
Yeah, for sure. You know, because you know your skill in using your voice is so, you know, it's such at a high caliber. I bet you're probably interested in doing more than just what you're doing on the radio, right? Have you looked into doing like voiceovers or doing voice for like maybe, you know, something different?
Yeah, I've dabbled in that over time a little bit. I haven't gone full blown into it, and I'm not sure what the holdup is. I do have two jobs though. You had mentioned that you work in food service. So after I got laid off from C101, it was the COVID shutdown. So I was looking for a job when nobody was hiring, you know, and radio stations were laying people off, and advertisers weren't advertising, and events weren't happening because people couldn't get together. So there were no concert promotions. There was, a drop in advertising. So I was just like, I gotta do something. I didn't really have it's always good. I guess it's always good to have a plan B, but I never had a plan B. It's like, I'm all in on radio. I'm going for it. I'm giving it everything I got. I'm going to, take it as far as I can go. And so when that dropped out from under me, I was like, oh, okay, this is where plan B comes in. All right. So I went to Del Mar and I got the Class A CDL. And I started working at a place called Horizon Distributors. It's landscaping and irrigation supplies. And so, that's my Monday through Friday job. I drive it's a Class B vehicle. It's a 24-foot flatbed straight truck with an attached forklift. But I deliver pallets of mulch and pavers and PVC pipe and stuff. And it's a big change. It's a big change from what I did. And I like that, you know.
Good.
I'm getting dirty. I'm getting sweaty. I'm out on the road. The C101 studio didn't have a window. So for 19 years, I was in a building without a window for most of the day. Yeah. So now being outside, I really like it.
Hell yes.
Really like it.
That's great.
And I work with somebody you might know.
Really?
I work with Carlos Ramos, who played guitar for Refueled.
Yes, of course. Yeah.
Refueled from back in the day.
You know, Refueled is kind of something I kind of sit in with, because those guys, Joey Perez and Steve Pedraza, the bass player and guitar player for Refueled, that jam alongside Carlos, play with me in my band Fistful of Metal. So yeah, dude, Carlos is a shredder. Yeah. He is a shredder.
Yeah, he's talked about Fistful of Metal at work before. Yeah, definitely. He knows when you guys are gonna play and talks about going out to the shows and whatnot. So yeah.
Hey, Monty, I appreciate your grind, man. That's the way you got to hustle as a dad nowadays. When COVID hit, man, you know, it took me out of work definitely at a university, but you know, it was a strange time because we were getting all this money for staying at home, and you know, I gotta say I wasn't complaining about it, man. I was saving up because I knew this shit wasn't gonna last forever, and it just didn't right because you shouldn't be paying me to stay home. You know, I just know that. And during that time, that's what into podcasting because I was staying at home for trying to find things to keep myself busy. And next thing, I listened to a lot of radio, but I wanted to hear a little bit more. And so that's what got me into listening to a guy by the name of Jamie Josta, who sings for a band called Hatebreed. And he has a band show called The Josta Show. And man, I just love what he does. And so that next thing you know, my wife's saying, what do you want for your birthday? And I said, I want some podcast gear. I want to do my own thing. And so here I am a year later, and you know, I've got a lot under my belt, and it's something that I want to be able to do other than being in a band as my plan B. That's my plan B. And so it's fun, man. It is to be, you know, on the air, and this is my way of being on the air. And I can't tell you how much it's brought a lot of joy to my life. So, you know, like I said, I appreciate the grind, man. You know, you're doubling up on jobs. You know, I hear that you is your home already built? I know you're getting a home built, or is it almost finished?
Yeah, I moved. I actually moved into to a pre-existing home in Flower Bluff. So, got a 4-bedroom house for me and my kids, and they're it's cool, man. The house is. I'm not very good interior decorator, that kind of a thing. My daughter helps with that a little bit.
Cool.
But it's definitely become a home for us, and you know, it's great. It's great when we're all together, you know.
Yes, man. I'm glad you're permanently making your roots here in Corpus, so we can keep hearing you on the air every day, Monday through Friday. That's awesome, man. So let me tell me. Do you got any advice for our listeners that are, you know, wanting to go into a career in radio broadcasting, of being maybe a DJ or a program director?
Wow. There's a lot of, I guess, have something going on. That would be the first thing. Like go in there with something, have something. For me, it was a demo tape, you know, these days, but that was, you know, how would you have recorded a demo tape back then if it wasn't for Delmar? You know, I mean, the technology wasn't available. It just wasn't around. I mean, the internet in 1995 was barely a thing. So you couldn't email an MP3 of what you sounded like, you know? So these days, use that technology to your advantage, you know, try to start to create a fan base on social media, you know, like what you're doing here. If you can start a show here, and you can show them that, you know, hey, I know how to talk to people. I know this technology. I'm already, you know, doing this. I have these skills that I can showcase. I mean, even if it's making playlists on Spotify or something like that. Like if you want to get into radio, you can make playlists on Spotify and really try to push that and promote it. And if it's a good playlist, people will listen to it, and that'll show up, and that'll be a metric that you can go and say, hey, you know, I'm really interested in music. I've got these playlists on Spotify, and here's how they're working out, you know? So that would be, I like that. That would be my advice, I guess. Try to have something going on, because you've got a lot of options these days on how to showcase your abilities in those things.
Very good advice. You know, exactly. The technology that's available right now is, you know, 25 years advanced from when you had the opportunity to just bring that recording of yourself to the station. You know, you can do so much out of your house using YouTube and using just your phone to make recordings and to push it, make something happen, right? I like that.
Yeah.
And
I would say, I would say the one other thing maybe would be to have some humility, you know, like if you don't have a lot going on, that's okay. You know, you go in there and go, I really want to do this. I have absolutely no idea what to do. I will do anything that you need me to do whatsoever. What are the chores that nobody wants to do? Give me those. I'll do that. I'll start there. You know, just to get a foot in the door.
Yeah.
That's how I started. Like, over part-time overnight. I was the official part-time overnight on the weekend guy. Nobody wanted those shifts. I'm like, that's my shift. I'll do that. Like, and I owned it, you know?
Yes.
I didn't enjoy it. I didn't enjoy those hours, but I enjoyed what I was able to do in those hours. So
yeah, that's
you
what
know,
it's
just got to
about.
make it work.
Yeah, getting that experience in your belt and being willing to do the things that other people don't want to do and taking it and owning
Yeah.
it. That's awesome.
Yep.
Definitely great words right there. So what do you like to do for fun? What kind of hobbies do you have?
I got a motorcycle in 2021. And 'cause I had been thinking about it for a long time. When I was a kid, I
Me
would
too.
ride dirt bikes, you know?
Okay.
And after I learned to drive 18 wheelers, I'm like, okay, I think it'd be pretty cool to be able to drive an 18 wheeler and have that on my license, and be able to drive a motorcycle and have that on my license too. And so I went
Yes.
and got went to Coastal Cycle Academy and took the course, and got the license and got a motorcycle, and it's been a lot of fun, you know. I got a cruiser. I'm the guy in the slow lane. I'm not trying to go anywhere fast. Just like to just kind of chill and enjoy the ride.
Oh, hell.
So doing that.
Well, great, man.
I have a longboard skateboard. I'm sorry. I have
No,
a longboard skateboard too, and so I kind of cruise on that with my sons. They have skateboards, and we'll ride from time to time. And again, it's just like a slow, mellow cruise. I'm not doing tricks or anything like that. I just kind of like to roll along, you know.
yeah. Yeah. But count me if I've kind of been on your Facebook. You like getting out there and doing some hiking as well?
Yeah, man. I've done a little bit of rock climbing, and if we lived somewhere where it was closer,
Yeah.
I would be an avid rock climber. It was so much fun. It's amazing. It's one of those things that it really it requires your focus, and that's what I like about the motorcycle riding too, is that you can't be thinking of anything else or paying attention to anything else. You're not on your phone. You're not worrying about work emails. You're in the moment. You're focused on what you're doing because you have to be. It forces you to be present. You know, to be fully present. And the more of that I can do, the more of those kinds of things that I can find, the better, because I need it. Because there's so many distractions with, you know, on these things alone. Your phones are, it can be so distracting and suck you into doom scrolling, or, you know, some rabbit hole about information that's unimportant. And
I know exactly.
you know,
Oh, yes. I find myself going down reels, and next thing you know, it's MMA. It's an MMA fighting, you know, just a collection of fight after fight after fight, and it's all good.
yeah,
I'll find some wrestling, and just I know
and
what
like
you
3 hours later, like, what?
tell me
Crazy.
about it. Right, hours later. But I like going out hiking, man. I don't know if you've been to a place called Pedernales Falls. It's maybe about 30 minutes or so out of Austin West, and I went out there a couple of weeks ago for the first time with my wife, and we've never made hiking something that we do as a family, but she really wanted to do it. We missed out on being able to get into Enchanted Rock, and she really wanted to go to that, but it was all booked up. We couldn't find a spot for us to fit in, so we went to Pedernales Falls, and man, it was great. It was really cool, and I'm looking forward to getting back out there. And is there a spot that you like to go hiking at, or go rock climbing?
Man, that's badass. I haven't been to Pedernales Falls, but I've heard good things, and it's definitely a place I want to go.
It's nice.
Yeah, you know, and when people think about rock climbing, they think about, you know, Yosemite, El Capitan, that kind of a thing.
Sure.
You don't have to get up too far before you start to feel like, well, damn, if I fall, I can really hurt myself or more. You know, you get about 50 feet up, and you're like, oh. Yeah, I could do some damage from this height.
Yes.
I've gone in Austin. There's a place called Greenbelt. I've gone to Reamer's Ranch, I think near Dripping Springs. Enchanted Rock. There's on the base of the rock and on the back side of it, there's definitely some really cool climbs there.
Wow.
And they just opened up an area in San Antonio called Medicine Wall that I want to try out. I still haven't been to Government Canyon. I want to go to Government Canyon.
Wow. Okay.
I don't know if there's climbing there, but I've heard it's a good hike at least.
Oh,
So
cool.
I tend to go to Oso Bay Wetlands Preserve to walk around the trails there often, because that's a neat place and really extremely close.
I need to check that out.
Other than that, I started last year to go to Lake Corpus Christi a little bit more.
Okay.
Take my boys, we load up their bicycles and ride our bikes around there and stuff. So starting off small, man, before I start to venture out a little bit further, you know. But that's definitely a goal is to start hitting up more hikes and climbs. Just time and money, man, time and money.
I know what you mean. Exactly. Well, I remember us talking a little while ago and you mentioned vinyl. Do you collect a lot of vinyl, or is there some other things that you're a collector of?
I have a little bit of vinyl. I would like to collect more. I just haven't. I had an opportunity, man. It was in I think 1999. We went out to the old C101 studio, and that's the one that's like in Sinton in a pasture right next to the broadcast tower.
Okay.
And they still had vinyl out there. They had a room. It was just like, wasn't a big room, but it was like, I don't know, five rows high all along the walls of records. And they said, we're going to get rid of these, so take whatever you want.
Whoa, kick ass.
By that time, it was pretty well picked over. You know, by 2019, that stuff had been out there since the 70s. Yeah. A lot of the good stuff was gone. But I found some Neil Young. I found some jazz that was cool. What's her name? Bessie. I can't remember the name now. Bessie Smith, I think it was, or something. I'd have to look it up. But
Right.
I found a few recognizable names and some oddball stuff, but those were nice additions to the vinyl collection. You had mentioned bands for me to name 4 bands, and one I probably should have mentioned there is the Black Keys.
Hey.
I really like the Black Keys a lot, man. And so I have some more stuff on vinyl.
Yes, definitely. Good stuff right there. I love the Black Keys too. They're always changing, man. They keep evolving, and you know, I'm always I love they're one of the best bands that is still rocking, you know, over the past couple of decades. Love the Black Keys too. So
definitely good stuff.
What are your favorite movies?
Man, I haven't been watching a lot of movies here lately, so I don't have a lot of new favorites. A lot of my favorite stuff is from the 90s.
Give it to me.
Absolutely love Dumb and Dumber. It's
yes, love Jim Carrey.
Anytime that's on, that's a good one. The Big Lebowski, love that one.
Yeah.
Man, there's a lot of good ones. I really liked this might be kind of corny, but The Last of the Mohicans. I don't know. That's kind of
Day, I think.
Yeah, that was some good action. You know, it's like a love story kind of a thing, but the action was
good one.
Incredible.
Very nice.
Yeah.
Good choices right there. You know, let's go ahead and move on to the segment that I like to call Draw the Line, Monty. I want to see, I want to pick your brain a little bit and give you some subjects and stick some things together, and tell me what you prefer. Say, for instance, could be bands, could be singers. So let's kind of get things started here. So for the first question I'm going to have for you today on Draw the Line, I want to ask you a little something about. I also know you like biking, so tell me, what do you prefer? You prefer rock mountain climbing or biking? Which one would you rather do over? Say you got this weekend to enjoy. You want to make some time with the family. What do you want to rock? Rock climbing, or you want to go a nice afternoon of
rock
biking?
climbing.
Hey.
Rock climbing all the way. Yeah, riding a bike is nice and pretty chill, but yeah, the satisfaction, the adrenaline, the focus of rock climbing. Like you're overcoming an obstacle, like literally, and you get to the top or you get to the finish, and you see what you can see what you've accomplished, and you can be proud of that. Like I did that, and didn't break anything. Awesome,
Yeah, it's you got to the top of the mountain, man. That's always, it's a manly thing. It's kind of like Rocky running up to the top of the stairs.
Yeah,
fly high. I love it.
That's right.
So I also know that you like to fire pistol. What do you prefer? Do you like it? Do you prefer a 9mm pistol or maybe a 38 caliber? What do you like to shoot?
I have a 9mm that I carry. I've got the Smith & Wesson M&P Shield.
Cool.
Definitely like that. I'd have to go with the 9mm. My dad is a gun collector. He was a gunsmith for a while.
Cool.
So he's very much into it, and I've shot quite a few guns from that he owns, but I'd have to say the 1911 45 caliber 1911, man, you fire one of those things and you're just like it's a feeling of power. I mean, you want to respect it, but you're just like, wow, there's some power in my hand right now. It's pretty incredible.
Woo!
Yeah.
Hell yeah.
Yeah, you're not messing around with that.
Reminds me of Dirty Harry. Make my day.
Yeah, right.
Hell
That's
yeah.
Right.
Well, okay, next one. 90s rock, like Tool, Deftones, Stain, versus 2000s rock, like, say, Hailstorm, Architects, or Five Finger Death Punch.
Go with the 90s again, man. Maybe I'm perpetually stuck there. I don't know. 2000s had some good music for sure, but I mean, when you're talking Tool and Deftones, for sure, man, those are solid. So I'd have to go 90s.
Okay, cool. Well, Tool's one of my favorite bands, along with Slayer, and I love Chino's voice with the Deftones, and not everybody can get into Chino's voice. A lot of my friends are like, yeah, I'm not really a big Deftones fan, and it's usually about his voice. But I love both of those bands. So let me ask you, who do you prefer from Tool versus Deftones?
For me, it'd probably be Deftones.
Okay.
Funny thing is, I've had the opportunity to speak to both singers.
Cool.
Maynard came to Corpus with A Perfect Circle.
I remember that Concrete Street.
Yeah, and to promote that show, I had a phone call with them. I had a phone interview, and interesting dude, for sure.
Yes.
He was. I don't remember a whole lot of the conversation, unfortunately, right now. The one thing I do remember is he thought concert ticket giveaways, call in to win tickets, he thought it was kind of silly. And I was like, oh, okay. Well, what would you suggest we do? What would be a good way to go about that? And he thought, maybe doing community service to get your hands on tickets would be a good way to win. And I'm like, that's not a bad idea at all. I like that.
Yeah.
And so the next time that Tool had come around,
The American Bank Center, I think it was on that
yeah,
10,000.
yeah,
Yeah.
um, I was responsible for putting in the C101's promotional proposal. Like, what are we going to do to promote that show? And we're going to promote it this way, and you give us tickets to help with that promotion. And so I put in there, we'll do the biggest amount of community service, person gets some tickets, and they shot it down. And I'm like,
Damn.
oh, hold on, that's not my idea. Like, that's not my idea. Ask
Right.
Maynard about that one. That's his idea. You're shooting down Maynard's idea for that
Yes.
promotional proposal. And that didn't help any. They didn't care.
Crap.
So we didn't. Well, I mean, we could have. You can't. And once you put in the promotional proposal, you got to stick to it. You do what you say you're going to do. With those tickets, everyone's accounted for, and they want proof of performance and everything. So that's how that went. And Chino, I got to play ping pong with him.
Hey, all right.
Yeah, and he was talking about it wasn't just me there. It was a bunch of people, but we were playing ping pong, hanging out, and talking. And somehow we got on the subject of Halloween. I don't remember exactly why, but he said at that time that when he was in, I think, middle school, he dressed up as Boy George for Halloween one year.
Uh-huh.
And he got a mixed reaction from the kids at school on that one, as you might imagine.
Interesting.
But I'm like, that's an interesting choice.
Yeah.
But they were both pretty cool dudes. But I'd have to say that I felt more comfortable talking to Chino, and that may have been because it was in person rather than on the phone. But he also he had a very personable, friendly tone. Not that Maynard was unfriendly, but it was just very much more straightforward.
Very cool. Love me some Chino, man. I dig it. And I dig his other project that he does on his own, where he DJs. I'm trying to think. They were here doing their gig.
Yeah. There's he had a few things going on. There was Three Crosses was one.
That's right.
Palms. Is that right?
Yeah, Palms. Yeah, man.
So,
Chino's
Team Sleep. Is that another one? Team Sleep? I don't know. I'm just pulling stuff out of the air now.
Yes, man. Cause he's been grinding, doing this thing since the 90s. You know what I mean? So he's been involved with so many different bands and done added his voice to different songs with Tool, for instance, like Passenger, or the other way around. It was Maynard coming in on the Deftones track Passenger, and great guys, man. That's really cool. There's a couple of my favorite vocalists right there for you to be able to talk to Maynard right there. And I can imagine he's a little, somewhat, maybe you could say eccentric, but hey, it's cool. I'll take it.
Yeah,
I love Maynard.
Definitely. Yeah, we need those kind of people, man.
Yes,
Definitely.
man. It's a method to the madness to get it all done. It's all right.
That's right.
Well, how about these two big hitters right here? What do you think? Are you more of a Metallica or a Megadeth fan?
Metallica.
Hey, Field, yes, Pop ahead, boys. I dig it. We haven't had Metallica here in Corpus in ages. I would love for them to give us some love and play the American Bank Center and sell that sucker out for a whole weekend. Yeah. They could do it.
Now, I did take my real quick, back to the Deftones. My sons have hamsters, and my drummer son Audie, he named his hamster Chino. But I took I took my kids to that Megadeth Lamb of God show at the American Bank Center, and my guitar playing son, Xander, is now a very big Megadeth fan. They both like Lamb of God, but he got really into Megadeth after
Yeah.
that show, and he's like, Dad, I really want to see him again now because I didn't know a lot of their music, and I didn't get it as much. I didn't get into it as much. He's like, now that I know the songs and I know how to play some of them a little bit, he's really into Marty Friedman and his guitar playing.
Wow.
So he's trying to do that stuff, you know.
Yes, I can see where his passion comes from, because Megadeth has always been known for the players, you know, the guitar players that Dave Mustaine has always surrounded himself with, as well as the drummers, are the best in the business. And as becoming guitar players, seeing those guys shred like that is like, whoa, man, definitely. And Megadeth's got that, you know, they've got so many radio hits, and you know, they've got a great heavy sound, but just so well done that it's just you know, it's a pop, it's part of American pop culture. They've done, you know, they've been a part of the Bay Area music scene just like Metallica has. Sure, they may not have that same kind of cloud as Metallica's done, but in my eyes, Megadeth does, because you know, Dave Mustaine has done anything and everything he's always had to do for the band to keep it grinding, and got a lot of love for Dave. Got a lot of love for him, man.
Yeah, definitely, man. But Metallica, you know, they got some hits.
Yes, I love it, man. I love it. You know, I'm thinking about doing a little extra content episode called "What If in Metal," and one of the content questions is going to be, what if a different member of Metallica passed away instead of Cliff? What if Lars passed? Wow. You know, who would be the drummer that would fill that time for Lars Ulrich and Metallica, and what would the sound be like if Cliff kept writing like he was already? And
wow, that's wild.
Yeah, you know what I mean? So there's some cool questions I'm going to come up with. So, you know, I'm looking forward to doing that. But let's go
Cliff
to the next.
Still with the band, I would say if Cliff were still with the band, and Justice for All would have had a whole lot more bass on it.
Ooh, you better believe it. Right off the bat, you know it. Poor Jason, man, and his recording on that. But I got so much love for Jason, and you know, seeing the different Metallica movies, and I just got so much respect for him that he had such a thick skin to put up with all the hazing and bullshit that the Metallica did at the very beginning, as him being the new guy for Metallica. And you know, it just kind of sucks, you know, in Some Kind of Monster, when you know, he ends up leaving the band and you know, left Metallica kind of second guessing, you know, what are we doing here? You know, why is this guy leaving the band? You know, we've got Metallica. Who would want to leave Metallica? But you know, anyway, good movie. If you haven't seen it, my listeners, please check that Metallica movie out. Let's hit two new big band. Well, my next question is going to be two old school greats. Who do you prefer out of Ozzy Osbourne and Ronnie James Dio?
Man, I would go with Ozzy. I would tend to probably listen to more Ozzy as far as his solo stuff and his work with Black Sabbath. I mean, Black Sabbath, dude, when they came out, nobody was doing what they were doing. You War Pigs, you listen to that these days, and it's still a good, solid jam. I can't imagine listening to that in the frame of 1969, or I'm not sure what year that song specifically came out, but when Black Sabbath came out, it was 1969. You think about all the other music surrounding that year, and you hear what they're doing. People must have been freaking out. Like, what the hell is this? It doesn't sound like anything anywhere. So just, you know, him being part of that groundbreaking sound, you know, you got to honor that. Ronnie James Dio, I think, better vocalist, better singer, better voice. As far as, you know, technically speaking, for sure. But there's been more songs with Ozzy's voice on them for me that I would like than Ronnie James Dio.
I dig it.
Not that one of them, you know, like nothing wrong with Dio.
Yes, I know, man. Oh, I think of Dio and I think of Tenacious D and him coming out of that movie and how, I love that the Pick of Destiny. Jack
Yeah.
Black and is it? Give me the other guy's name.
Glass, Ron, what's Glass? Something Glass. I forget.
Chris Glass or Ron Glass. Oh man, amazing guys. I love that movie. I love how Dave Grohl came in there and played the devil. Oh man, just super stuff. Super movie. It's super movie. So let's go to the next one, and it's comparison of the last two singers. Both of them were in these two bands. Which bands do you prefer, Black Sabbath or Deep Purple?
Gotta go with Black Sabbath.
Hey, all right.
Yeah.
Hey, I'm with you on that 100%, 10%. I love Dio and I love his voice. And yeah, I think he's a better vocalist as far as Ozzy. But man, I love Ozzy solo stuff. And I love everything he's done with Black Sabbath. And that's what I kind of got into first. So I'm glad that I don't have to make this choice. But Black Sabbath it is for you. All right. Last question I got for you, Monty. Two guitar legends, two greats. Who do you pick out of Randy Rhoads versus Dimebag Darrell?
Oh boy. So I'm not. I don't know how to play guitar. When I listen to it, I don't listen to it technically. It's funny. I mentioned our mutual friend Carlos.
Yeah.
And he plays guitar, and when he listens to a band, he listens to it a little bit differently than I do. He might appreciate something like the Black Keys. That's cool, but it's a simpler type of guitar playing than some of the the more technical stuff, like the your Judas Priest or Iron Maiden or Megadeth, or they're a little more technical.
Yeah.
I don't listen for the technical stuff. So I don't know. I know the reputations of the guitarists, but I would have to say that the Dimebag is more the kind of guitar playing that connects with me.
Okay. All right.
I know there are definitely different approaches. Randy Rhoads is a legend, but both of them are. But I like Dimebag, the heavy stuff that Pantera did.
The heavy
Damage
stuff.
Plan.
With them doing the new Pantera reunion shows, and them having Zach Wild on guitar for Dime and having Charlie Benante on drums. Any chance of you maybe taking the boys to go see Pantera in Austin when they're getting ready to play here in August?
Man, they would be up for it. They would definitely be up for it.
Yeah.
Don't have any plans to go out of town at the moment, but
okay.
They did say that if Korn ever comes nearby, they definitely want to see Korn and Metallica for sure, and Megadeth. So those three, they've said, if they come, Dad, you got to take us to see them. And anything else that I might take them to is just like a little extra.
That's right.
It's a possibility. Are you going to go to that one?
Yes, very cool. Very cool.
Are you going to go to that show?
A matter of fact, I bought a pair of tickets to go check it out on the lawn because, man, tickets are freaking expensive. Jeez. And I know I'm going to stay overnight and all that good stuff. And so I try and keep my finances to a minimum because I want to buy some concert souvenirs while I'm there too and have some drinks. Yeah. So, hell yeah, I'm going to be there. I wanted to go see him with Metallica on Friday night in Arlington, but tickets for that and the nosebleed section at the top of the AT&T Center were starting at $250 when I was able to get them at pre-sale. And by the time they went to sale on the public, they were hitting like $400 for the same seat, because they'd already been bought and been resold by other sellers now. And so it was just out of my price range, man. And as much as I wanted to see Metallica on this new tour, and I never get tired of seeing them, I just I can't afford it this time around. So
And
luckily,
that's,
Pantera's doing a show in Austin on the 2 dates right after the Metallica show. So hey, I bought tickets for that one. I'm looking forward to that.
yeah. And that's where these tribute shows kind of come in, because it helps you to satisfy that desire to hear the band,
Right.
but it's more realistic for your work life schedule, and it's better for your budget as well. And so, like, your stuff with Fistful of Metal, and although those are originals mostly, right? You do mostly originals in Fistful of Metal.
Those are all covers, but I also do that Vulgar Display of Power where we do a Pantera tribute as well.
Okay,
And
there we go.
you helped us actually get on to one of those turkey bowls that when you were working over at C101.
Yeah,
And
I remember that. Yeah.
first time we got to play Brewster, so it was that got us in the door, and since then, hell, we've been there about half a dozen times. So, and thanks a
And you
lot for
had
making
one.
it for us. That was fun.
Yeah, oh, I had heard great things about you guys. I had seen you once myself, and I was just like, man, it's the right music for this event and this crowd. You
Cool.
had a band called Rockenstein, right?
Yeah, I sure did. Probably for about 6-7 years, and I think it's only been a couple of years that it's been down, and it's because my guitar player he moved on to other things. But yeah, I love Rockenstein because we did the '90s stuff, Tool, Deftones, Soundgarden, Nirvana, all of that kind of
Yeah.
stuff. That was
Yeah.
fun.
So those kinds of things, like I'll take my boys to see tribute bands at Brewster Street or House of Rock, and things like that, and they love it. They have a great time. They rock out, and it's doable.
Yes.
Those bigger shows, you still want to check out the real thing where and when you can, but it's just with the way things are these days. And there was a time that Concrete Street, when I was at C101, we were promoting probably 25 rock shows a year.
Yeah.
And it would be kind of hard to differentiate who's coming, or not differentiate, but just like keep it separate, because you'd have a show on a Monday and a Thursday. So you're hitting these concerts hard on the air, and you're starting to not even really be able to keep track of who's coming and when. And so kind of back then we would say, maybe slow down a little bit and kind of space it out a little bit. Let the promotion breathe, let the concert breathe, let people have money, for the shows. And almost like from one year to the next, we went from promoting about 25 a year to promoting 12 a year. And then we were like, well, we didn't mean, that slow. Don't slow down that much,
Yeah.
So, and now it's down to like, I don't know, man. Not a lot of rock shows coming.
I know. It's a shame. Even like at the House of Rock, we're not getting too many to choose from over there too. But it's kind of surprising because after COVID, it was like, man, everybody's band was going to hit the road and filling up all these venues, and it was going to be like nonstop, shows, it seemed like. And then here we are, not too much to choose from. And there should be, I know we got like Giovanni and I think that his band coming in a couple of weeks, and El Nino's coming in May, but we should have at least two or three good national bands rolling through the House of Rock or Brewster Street or the Pavilion easily. San Antonio's got them, Austin's got them.
Yeah,
I guess maybe we're just in the smaller market where they just it's more beneficial for them to not come so far south and maybe just go as far south as San Antonio, Austin, Houston, right, and then keep doing the states.
We're not really on the way to anywhere, right, too. That's where I would get mad. You'd hear, El Paso's a big city, but it's like, that's way out there, almost in the middle of nowhere, and like you're gonna play in El Paso and you won't play here, but El Paso's on the way to somewhere else. Whereas we're kind of the end of the road, like you got to turn around and go back once you played Corpus.
Yes, no
Kind
shit.
of how that goes.
Hey, it's all good. Hey, we're gonna stay optimistic and just keep our fingers crossed that more music keeps
Yeah.
coming here. Keep rocking the American Bank Center and Concrete Street and House of Rock, and I'm gonna wrap things up right there, Monty. That was the last question I had for you, and draw the line. And it's been a great time talking with you this afternoon, man. I learned a lot. And
Dude.
Listeners, we had a great time listening today. And how can our listeners keep up with you? Definitely on the radio station Monday through Friday, right? And
Yeah,
maybe
Monday through Friday, 3 to 7. The website for the station is 1045theeagle.com. You can listen. There was an app, but I mean, I got so many apps on my phone. I don't even really want another app. So if you want to listen, the website, 1045theeagle.com, just click on listen live. Anything that has the internet and a speaker, then you're listening right there. I have social media, Facebook and Instagram, and you can look for Monte Montana, or the username is Soy El Monte. So either one of those will take you to my stuff. And I try to post things that might be humorous, entertaining, educational, inspirational, some kind of value is the thought behind the post, at least. I don't know if it always hits that way, but I'm trying,
Yeah,
So,
hell yeah. Well, Monty, on behalf of everybody here in Corpus, all my rocker friends and metal headbangers, it's been great always hearing you on the air, and you being a great ambassador for our community on the air, for the rock community especially. And thanks so much for your time this afternoon, man. Best of wishes to you and your career. And man, if there's anything, I hope to be able to talk to you again and have you back on the show after a little while and kind of see how things have been going for you. And from me, from all of us, we love you, man. Keep it rocking out there on the airwaves. We're going to keep listening to you on 104.5 and keep following your career. And thanks everybody out there on listening to the Tony Gomez Show. I appreciate you checking us out on Facebook or on YouTube. Monty, why don't you say bye to everybody?
Dude, thank you so much for your kind words. This has been great, man. I've really enjoyed it. I think it's fantastic what you're doing, and to see you getting enjoyment out of it, and just keeping it going, man. That's good stuff right there. So look forward to checking you out on stage sometime. So thanks a lot, man. I'd love to talk to you again, and I hope we can stay in touch.
Awesome, man. We will stay in touch, definitely. Well, Monty, best of wishes to you. Have a great weekend. I will keep in touch. And to all my listeners out there, thanks a lot. Keep grinding every day, and I'll see you at the next show.